Hey folks, we got a guy. We got a Hispanic, a little Mexican man who was disgruntled about a breakup, and he went in and he shot some people, some old ladies, because I guess they represent women. You know, it was not unlike École Polytechnique in Montreal, where a sexist shot a bunch of women in Montreal, 14 of them. Sort of like the homophobe who did the shooting in Orlando. Sort of like the Palestinian in New York who was mad about a parking fine. Sort of like the guy who did the beheading, Anton Nolan. Sort of like the Beltway snipers, you know, those black guys, those mad black guys. Or remember there was that black guy who shot a cop, killed a bunch of cops, all those just disgruntled people, all that workplace violence. Remember Fort Hood, that workplace violence incident? All Muslims, all terror. And with the Palestinian, for example, this guy grew up in Palestinian culture. He grew up in the desert, in desert culture where war is the norm. So just because he didn't scream Allahu Akbar doesn't mean you can just say, random guy living in his car got mad at a cop. No, it's Muslim culture. This is a culture that has a major problem with inbreeding because Muhammad said it's okay to marry your first cousin. This is something we've noticed has become a problem. After 1 or 2 generations, it's bad. After 40 generations, it's really bad. Oh yeah, what about aristocrats? What about rednecks? Yeah. What about Hasidic Jews? Yeah. Big problem with all of those people too. They're all following a book called the Quran. And you don't include those in your statistics when you talk about redneck, right-wing violence versus Muslim violence. Okay, just for fun, I'm going to exclude the 3 people that the Tsarnaev brothers killed before the Boston bombing. I'm going to exclude all the stuff I mentioned before. I'm going to exclude the Bosnian Muslim who shot 5 people dead in Salt Lake City. We still, Newsweek, are at about 45, 48. I mean, I honestly don't get why you're so determined to get these numbers down. I don't understand why you called that guy Hispanic. Did you just think he had lots of eyeliner on and he glued a unibrow to his forehead? That was a cretin named Archion Cretin. Okay? Ketin, sorry, whatever. Cretin? They're all cretins. And here's the deal. When you look at Muslims in America, Muslims in the West, no, let's do America for fun, and you talk about this tiny sect, this tiny group of men of a fighting age, you were talking about a fraction of a percent of the population. And if these people are in the same ballpark as these right-wing extremists that you say around every corner, doesn't that sort of pull up a red flag for you? Doesn't that make you concerned? There was a meme going around it where they quote the Huffington Post that says, according to the FBI itself, 94% of terrorist attacks carried out in the United States since 1980 have been by non-Muslims. This means that an American terror suspect is over 9 times more likely to be a non-Muslim than a Muslim. So what they do here is they ignore per capita and they just go with general population. Now, you're in a white country, you're in a white continent, you're in a white culture. The majority of people who step in mud puddles are going to be white. But if you do per cap and you look at the fact that such a minuscule percentage of the population has such a massive piece of the terrorism pie, you go, wait a minute, you just accidentally, with your shitty mathematics, proved the opposite of what you're trying to prove. Here's the reality, between 1980 and now, Muslims have accounted for roughly 0.5% of the total U.S. population. If, as Omar says, they committed 6% of the terrorism in that time, then Muslims are more than 13 times as likely as non-Muslims to commit acts of terrorism. Be dubious of Muslims. If you see something, say something. And make sure that something is, that guy's Mexican. Hi folks, that was a Rebel Media short. I have my own show on Rebel Media called How's It Going? You got to pay for that one. Check it out right here.